Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. MashaAllah, we're back for this Monday Halaqa, in which we're going to talk about some of the really amazing ayat that really nothing's going to uplift a person if these ayat don't uplift a person. So the first one gives us the answer of why people don't pray. Right? It's actually gives us the root cause of the reason of why people don't make dua in the first place. Ud'u rabbakum tadarru'a. Allah says here. Not that one. First we'll go with Ud'uni astajib lakum. Ud'uni astajib lakum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Call on me, I'll answer your prayer. إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخرين. So he says, call on me, I'll answer your prayer. Only those, or verily those, too arrogant, إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي, too arrogant to worship me, they shall enter the hellfire dakhirin, all right, in humiliation. Dakhirin means humbled and humiliated. So this is the root cause. If you want to know what is the root cause of why people, their iman shrivels up. Why does their iman shrivel up? Because they don't make enough dua, all right? Why don't people make dua? Because of arrogance. They think they're bigger than they actually truly are. That's really what it is. They imagine themselves to be bigger than what they truly are, and more important than what they truly are, and that they have more power than they truly are, and they don't want to see themselves in the position of a humble beggar. And that's what that's what dua is. You have, I don't have, please give me, I'm trying, I want this, right? I don't have it, you have it. Begging, okay? Begging. And so they don't have this. They don't want this. They can't imagine themselves doing this, right? And because of that, they end up not making dua. Now listen to this. Ud'u Allah tadarru'an wa khufya innahu la yuhibbul mu'tadin. The person who goes that route, and at every turn he doesn't want to make dua. At every turn he feels like it's not something that he's feels he needs. He could do things himself, right? He's strong enough to do things himself. And strength is a big fitna, by the way, because the strong in this world oftentimes feel that they have really no need to make dua. They really have no need to turn to Allah Ta'ala as a humble servant. That's the problem with outward strength. There's a hidden problem with outward strength, okay? Is that it causes a person to start to believe that they're not in need to be a humble servant and a beggar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Little do they know, the greatest honor is to be a beggar to the greatest king, because it elevates you up. Okay, that's the one he's going to elevate up, and then you gain your success by him and not by you. And the difference is that if you gain your success because of yourself, then you got to keep it yourself. If you gain success because of Allah, then He protects it for you. That's the big difference. When something comes to you by means of your own efforts and your own work, all right, good. Protect it yourself now. Maintain it yourself. But if someone gives you something now, if you get something by means of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He protects it. Imagine you have a job. The job says, well, we need you to go to Philly. All right, we need you to go halfway across the country. All right, why am I going halfway across the country? Because the company needs you there. All right, then this is not my vacation, right? This is not my doing. So the company's got to pay for it, right? A plane gets canceled, company pays for it. Hotel, company pays for it. A storm ruins the hotel, company pays for that too. I need to eat, company pays for that. Because it's not coming from you, it's coming from up above. Coming from your boss, he's paying for everything. Likewise, success, when it comes by you, when you say, I want to do this myself, all right, good. You want to do it yourself, guard it yourself. Maintain it yourself. Pay for it yourself. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet has a hadith, says that Allah ta'ala has a ruling. Whoever takes something of power himself, then Allah leaves him to it. You took it, right? Nobody forced it on you, so you manage it now. But if Allah Ta'ala gives someone power and puts someone in charge, then Allah protects him and Allah provides him with what he needs. And what he needs is not just material needs, it's internal needs. When you're in any responsibility, there's stresses. Then Allah Ta'ala is there to calm your heart when you're stressed. Allah Ta'ala is there to give you inspiration when you're down. But if you did it yourself, all right, deal with it yourself now. Okay? So this is why Allah Ta'ala wants our success to go through him, so that it's easier for us. There's nothing that Allah wants from us that benefits him. Nothing he wants from us except it's for our own benefit. I mean, he created us for an act of generosity, right? The creation was itself an act of generosity, right or wrong. Nobody can deny that, hey, coming into existence, having eyes, ears, seeing, of how many sperms come from a man, and you're the one who got lucky, right? So it's an act of generosity, no doubt about it. So if the origin of it is an act of generosity, then we have to know that his motive in his creation is to be generous to us. And so anything that what he's saying, come through me, get your success through me, it's to make things easier for us, right? And that's the idea behind never beginning a matter of import except with the name of Allah Ta'ala, and never beginning or engaging in a matter, making a big decision except with istikhara, never doing an action except consulting the sacred law first, see if it's lawful, is there some obligation here, is there a prohibition, etc. So all of this is the idea of doing something through Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. In other words, go through his lane, because if you go through that route, you're going to get all those protections. Okay, so he says here, Ud'u Allah tadarru'an wa khufya, call upon Allah in desperation, okay, and in private, right? Innahu la yuhibbul mu'tadin, for verily Allah Ta'ala does not like the aggressors. So wait a second, what is he linked here? He say, do this because Allah doesn't like this. So that means this, all right, is the opposite of this, and these people don't do this. So the enemies and those who aggress are not people of dua, right? This is a rule. People who aggress upon others, people who, why? The aggressor is arrogant. He thinks he could get away with something. He thinks he can abuse somebody. So what is he? He's arrogant. Just like the attribute Allah Ta'ala gave above. You see now that dua is, number one, it's a cure for arrogance. If you don't cure your arrogance, the arrogance spills into becoming an aggressor in this life. You aggress upon other people. You imagine yourself to be like immune from being taken into account. You imagine yourself that you can get away with things. Okay? You imagine yourself that you're superior, that you have the right to aggress upon other people. And you forget that the victim that you're aggressing upon has a Lord that's going to take care of him. All right? You're not aware of this. So the person who's not making dua, the further we go from dua, we start going into the darknesses of heedlessness, of forgetting that everybody we deal with, also Allah is their protector. Okay? And Allah Ta'ala is their Lord, and He cares for them. Okay? And to the point that you may actually harm one small person, but that person in the sight of Allah is grand. لا تحقر عبدا عسى أن يكون لله وليا. And this is exactly why you can have warmth and kindness in the community of Islam. And that's literally our greatest product, if we want to say, because Allah Ta'ala sometimes speaks in trade terms, right? He speaks about trading with Allah Ta'ala, and that Islam is like a product, right? That's given, and you give your soul as a product, and you buy paradise, right? So business terms are used here. The greatest product of the Muslim community, one of them, is there's warmth in it. There's no backbiting. There's none of these. Now, these rules are not because people remember rules. It's because the Quran takes us to the root of the matter. The root of the matter is realize that everybody out there, no matter how big or small, behind them is their Creator and their Lord, who's going to take care of them, who's going to defend them, who's going to push away the arrogant. All right? These things are deep into the heart of a person. So when I'm dealing with somebody, this person may be leagues behind me, light years behind me in many ways. And every one of us can find somebody like that. We can find somebody who's grown up, literally. Their parents have grown up on 5, 6, 8 cents a day, on dirt floors, working in factories, All right? In Mexico or in China or in Vietnam or in Bangladesh, that they live such a life that you could not imagine doing it for one day. All right? Hardship that you couldn't imagine for one day. Meanwhile, and because of that hardship, they don't have opportunities in life. Life has caved in on them. Okay? In contrast, growing up in the West, all of a sudden you have opportunities, right? You have all sorts of different things going on for you. So when you cross paths, you may look at, like, I don't even understand what that life is. How do you survive that for one day? Okay? Let alone that's how you've been living and your parents have been living, your grandparents have been living, your great-grandparents have been living in this squalor and this very small little town, right? And you never leave it and you never get educated and you don't ever experience life, okay? That's how you perceive it. That's how the first world problems, first world people will perceive it. But does it make a difference? Behind him is a creator, that Allah put him in this world. And Allah Ta'ala, number one, he's fair because by removing from him all those opportunities, he's also removed from them many problems too. These emotional problems that many first world countries have. How do you know that? You don't know what's going on inside of his heart, happy or sad, right? He might be more content than you because your eyes are looking out at the world and you want it. He doesn't even see that world. He's just happy to live a simple life. You don't know that. And he may very well be miserable. Allah knows. But either way, he has a Lord behind him. So don't ever dare look down upon this person because that's a characteristic that Allah Ta'ala doesn't accept from anybody. Looking down upon anyone. So much so, nobody enters Jannah provided that they have an atom's weight of arrogance. لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. That if there's an atom's weight of arrogance, they will not enter paradise. Okay? Will not enter paradise. Whoever has an atom's weight of arrogance. So how's that going to come out? What if he was full of righteousness, but he had arrogance because he was so wealthy, so well off, and then, some miskeen passes by and he's like, what is this? Right? Arrogance. But it doesn't mean he's going to hell right away. It means he's not entering paradise until that arrogance is gone. By him seeing something on Yawm al-Qiyamah that makes him realize that he himself is this big. And whatever comment that he said, that's got to be redressed on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Everything. So what a religious people that have this ethic and this character and this belief inside their hearts, I don't care who it is, Allah Ta'ala is behind this person. All right? If you have a dog walking, don't even one time, the story is said about Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, that he was sitting and a man with one of his companions, believers, and then a dog passed by, right? And the dog was coming, and then this companion of his pushed him away and said, move, you dog. Right? And of course, dog has always been a curse. In every language, I think dog is like a curse, right? So he said, do you curse him or do you just call him by what it is? Because he knew he's like cursing him, right? So he realized even the dog, right? We have to realize that Allah is behind that. Yes, even the dog, because justice on the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ said, the ram with one horn versus the ram with two horns, Allah is going to bring them both and switch their places, and they're going to ram each other to get justice, right? So there will be no arrogance and no injustice before entering paradise. All that has to be purified. So that's the akhlaq and the ethic that we go to on Yawm al-Qiyamah in the community and look at everybody and realize no matter what state this person is in. And by the way, some people, they're very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but currently, right now, they're in a very bad state. And the ulama always say, look at Umar ibn Khattab. Who's going to say that anything about Umar ibn Khattab? There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that he said about Umar. Umar walked up to Abu Bakr and he said, welcome to the one who there is none better than him after the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right there, you're the best one after the Prophet, peace be upon. And then Abu Bakr said, oh Umar, and I say to you what the Prophet ﷺ said, the best man upon whom the sun has risen, Umar ibn Khattab. Reason being, he benefits the ummah the most. And there's no doubt about that. No Sahabi, companion, has benefited the ummah more than the dynamic duo really, of Umar and Ali. Sayyidina Umar should never be mentioned without Sayyidina Ali. All right, and some people are like that. Sometimes you have the great person, and he has like an assistant, and maybe not given as much credit, but he should be. Sayyidina Ali was basically the advisor of Umar ibn Khattab. Okay, so no one should ever speak the name of Umar without also speaking the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So, but what's the point here? Umar ibn Khattab, there was a time when he was worshipping idols, and he would make the idols out of dates. Okay, fashion them out of dates, and then he would worship it. And then when he got hungry, he would eat it, right? And then he'd make another one. And so, if he's doing that at that time, and by the way, Umar ibn Khattab was a big drinker. His nickname was Khamr. Umar ibn Khattab's nickname was Khamr, alcohol. That he would drink so much, okay, non-stop. He would drink. And so, he was someone who was drinking, had a temper, hated the Prophet ﷺ, worshipped idols, fashioned idols, okay? And yet, it is written in the book of destiny that this is the number 2 man next to the Prophet ﷺ. That it's going to be Abu Bakr Siddiq and Umar ibn Khattab, and that for the end, until the end of time, the Muslims will pass by the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, and every single one of them will say, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah, Assalamu alayka ya Abu Bakr Siddiq, Assalamu alayka ya Umar ya Faruq. Because his nickname was Al-Faruq, the divider between truth and falsehood. So that's the destiny that was written. But yet at that moment, this is one of the worst deeds. He's in the worst state, doing the worst deeds possible on the earth. And nothing good to say about him. Right? So therefore, when we look at people, that's the attitude that we have to have. How do you know? You just don't know that this person may be in a condition right now, and they may be transformed later on. And it's such a foolish thing, the people who hold grudges or view people because of a deed they did in the past. Oh, well, I don't talk to him because he did such and such. Oh, really? When did he do that? 1986. You don't think he changed? Right? SubhanAllah. 99, he said this about me. It's 2020, 21 years have passed, right? You don't think he changed? Especially young people. Young people, 12 to 14 is a different human being. 14 to 17 is a different human being. 17 to 21 is a different human being, right? There's different people completely. 21 to 30, completely different human being. He may have erased everything about himself and transformed completely. So this is the idea of arrogance. Is this thought and this forgetfulness. It leads to that you are forgetting. And what erases forgetfulness is dua. Right? I'm telling you, dua with desperation is our food, and that's our protein, and that's our path. Really, if you want, you could probably summarize it as that the path of a Muslim is companionship with other good Muslims and dua with desperation. If you went that route, you win. If that's your 1-2 punch for the rest of your life, you win. Guaranteed. Because some people may say, oh, dhikr. Well, listen, look, there can be people who do a lot of remembrance of Allah, but they're not doing supplication. And I remember one time there was a disciple. He was a disciple of a sheikh in England, and he would do so much dhikr. And he would say, Sheikh, I'm not benefiting, I'm dry, etc. Right? I can't feel like I'm growing spiritually. I'm still miserable. The sheikh said, tell me how much dua you make. When was the last time you begged Allah for something? And he thought to himself, he said, well, I just really focus on dhikr. I don't do much of that. He said, that's the problem right there. Right? That's the problem right there. You're doing dhikr, but you're not humble. You're not lowering yourself to your Lord, your Creator. Dua is far superior. Dua with desperation is superior to simply moving your tongue with dhikr. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. It removes arrogance. It removes heedlessness. It removes the characteristic of aggression. And what else does it remove? It removes hardships. وَلَقَدْ أَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِالْعَذَابِ فَمَا اسْتَكَانُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ وَمَا يَتَضَرَّعُونَ. We sent punishments upon them. However, they did not seek serenity with their Lord, nor beg of Him. So this ayah shows us and teaches us that Allah Ta'ala may only send hardships upon people to wake them up out of not making dua. Anytime a hardship comes to you, you should say, maybe I've been heedless from dua. I should need to make some more dua. All right? I should make some prayer. I should make some serious supplication. And anytime that what you want is delayed, you should say, maybe Allah Ta'ala wants to bless it more, so He's delaying it so I could send up some more dua. All right? So that He could bless it even more for me. That's how we should view things. And He says here, فَمَسْتَكَانُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ. They didn't go and seek a position of peace with their Lord. In other words, mend ties with your Lord. So that He's saying here that dua is a mending of ties with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And dua is a cause of serenity, of sakina. All right? And specifically what dua? At-tadarru'. All right? Tadarru'. Lastly, tadarru' is dua with desperation. Any dua is, make dua for me, oh may Allah give you success. That's what you're just throwing words up, right? Tadarru' is with desperation, and everything should have desperation. It shouldn't have to appear like it needs desperation. You don't have to be dying on the street calling 911 to make dua with desperation. Any time we are in His absolute need. Okay? So last one, أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ وَيَجْعَلَكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ الْأَرْضِ. Whom is it who answers the desperate when they call upon Him, and removes pain, and renders you to be the leaders of the earth? Okay? Those who are begging and seeking, they're the ones who are given success. All right? Begging and seeking. Now let's look at the Q&A, because we know that this is a short halaqa, and we will probably just take the... We'll stop here, and we'll take questions now. Okay. What are the etiquettes of making dua? Now, there's really two types of dua. There's that raw dua, and that is the dua of most people. And that is the dua in which it really comes to you naturally. It's something that you're doing because you're really scared and in need. And that dua can happen at any time. And it could happen in any language. And it can happen just in your heart. The key of that is that, and it happens to people naturally, that you are literally, truly nervous about something. You're scared about something. And you're turning to Allah Ta'ala with that fear and with that need. And we all know what fear is. But the question is, what do we do when we're in that state? We have to have firm belief that Allah Ta'ala is Al-Muqtadir, the all-capable of alleviating our fear. All right? That's the test. Every time you're scared, you come upon a crossroads. You got two choices. I can either believe that Allah will take care of this, or I could not. Right? If you say no, you're in big trouble. Right? So you better say yes. Yes, I believe 100% Allah Ta'ala can remove me from this miserable situation. And that's how you gotta go. And that's the crux of it. Now, you could and this dua, it comes to a person every single time that fear and anxiety come to you. You got to turn back to that. Every time desire comes to you, desire, like I want something, you go to flee to dua, even if it's material matters, right? Flee to dua. But if a person, subhanallah, wants to really sort of decorate their dua, then they should make wudu. Then they should pray 2 rakas. They should have some decent clothes on. They maybe even want to put some oil upon themselves. They clean their area. They praise the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and praise Allah, of course, before that. Praise Allah and praise the Prophet, peace be upon him. And then ask what you seek. And that we should look at it, we would look at that more like somebody who's going to meet the president or the king or what have you. You're going to go nicely dressed. You're not going to go just in any old way, right? You're going to go nicely dressed, and you're going to have your words set, and I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to stand properly. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say that, etc. Okay? So that's another way of making dua. For example, when we do the khatm of the Quran, that's more of a formal dua like that, right? It's like that. But when you have a problem in life, it's that raw dua. And all of it, and all of that is goodness. There's no one that's worse than the other. Now the question says, a little off topic, Alicia says, but what are the etiquettes of reading the Arabic mushaf? Okay, the word mushaf, which Alicia used, is the entire Quran cover to cover, right? There could be some little commentary, but it's not a commentary, it's the Quran, okay? And the etiquette is that it is obligatory to have wudu, to worship, to hold it when you worship. Teachers, booksellers, publishers, what have you, who deal with the Quran every single day, they may hold it, move it, transport it without wudu. But to worship with it, they have to have wudu. Okay? So, that's the number one etiquette that Muslims must know. Secondly, it must never be below the waist. The Quran should never be held below the waist. It should never be on a bookshelf below the waist. Why? Because if you look at the waist of the human being, that's where, all the dusty your feet and your private parts and knees and not pretty things, right? This is not the cleanest thing. So above the waist level is the sunnah of our ummah. If you go to any land, they always say above waist level. Keep the Quran above the waist. They never put the Quran down, right? And so it's very important to keep those manners. The Quran should not be put with other books. So you don't have like your Harry Potter books and then the Quran. You don't have like your dictionary, then the Quran, and then your other dictionary, whatever. You don't do that. You put the Quran separate in its own class. Okay. The Quran is the only book that can be written with the ink of gold. We're not allowed to use gold for anything else. Okay. So the Quran has all of those attributes. It should always be different from other books. It should always be treated and be clear that is a special book. Okay. And in fact, children's first education in Islam, in honoring the religion and honoring Allah, is how they see their parents deal with the Quran. If they see their parents really truly honoring the Mus'haf itself, then they will realize there's something sacred in this world, right? Certain things are untouchable, right? So those are the etiquettes of the Quran. Now, if you're reciting the Quran, if you have to take a break, if someone interrupts you to talk about a worldly matter, then you want to go back to reciting the Quran, then you have to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem again. But if you're talking about the verse, then you don't. So let's say I'm reciting. Then someone says, hey, what are you reciting? He says, I'm reciting this surah. What does that word mean? This word means this. What are you talking about? You're still talking about the surah. So you don't have to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem again. However, if someone does stop you and says, hey, do you want to eat pizza, Domino's, or do you want to eat from Sunrise Pizza or Luigi's Pizza? And you say, well, I don't even want pizza at all. Why did you assume that I wanted pizza? They say, well, because you like pizza. You say, no, I want, to have Desi food today. And I say, okay, well, I don't. So then we have a dispute. And you start having an argument, right, over something silly. At that point, you have to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem again. All right? So anything that's not about the Quran itself, you have to actually say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem again. So that's not a big deal. It's not too difficult. The listening to the Quran. If a person's going to listen to the Quran, he should not talk. Right? So it's not background noise of a conversation. Right? So if you want background noise, you can put qasida. You could put dhikr. You could put nasheeds. But not the Quran. Okay? If you're going to hang the Quran, some scholars didn't like hanging the Quran, right, on the walls and things, right? But some permitted it, but if you do, then you should not point your feet towards it. If you have something hanging in your car, you should not put Quran hanging in the car so it's swinging back and forth. It's not respectful. The Quran should always be big. These little Qurans that some people make, I don't even know why, for like the blessing of it or something. It's like a keychain Quran. That's actually haram for us to do. Right, because it's disrespectful to the Quran, or at the very least, very, very, very discouraged. If you don't want to say the word haram, it's highly discouraged. Okay, for those little Qurans, little keychain Quran, you should not have Quran on your keychain. You go to the bathroom, you throw it on the ground. Right, you put it in your back pocket with your. It's not appropriate to do that. So. Those are some of the adab related to the Quran and to the Mus'haf. Anytime we go into the masjid, any masjid I go to, the first place I go is the bookshelves and fix it up. I just can't stand seeing otherwise, right? The Musahif. If the Quran is ripped, partially destroyed. It should be either fixed or retired. And you retire the mushaf by either putting it in water, burying it in the ground, or burning it. Those are the only options we have. Okay. If you make dua and include others in your dua, does it increase your chance of getting dua answered? Anytime that you ask for something, you make dua for your brothers or sisters, any other person, the angels around you say, and likewise for him. In other words, for you. Likewise for you. And how many angels do we have around us? We have 10 angels around us. According to the hadith of Uthman ibn Affan, he said there's an angel in front of you, behind you, to your right, to your left, guarding your eyes. That's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you have, that's 6 angels right there. Then you have 1 angel waiting for you to make salah on the Prophet. That's 7. 1 angel whispering to you to do good deeds. That's 8. Where's the 9th and the 10th? Can't remember the 9th and the 10th, but the hadith of Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan said you have 10 angels around you. Okay? And so those 10 angels are, in fact, they will repeat that dua for you. So that's why it's actually more profitable to make dua for other people. Okay? The only reason that some scholars discouraged too much of that, and they said, what they did say is that you should always make dua for yourself too, because if you were just making dua for other people, you're sort of giving the impression that I don't really need dua, I'm good. So as long as you remove that attitude, then making dua for others is always more profitable than making dua for ourselves. Ace M says, I saw prominent figures that were previously friends cut each other off. Do you think it is nadar? Can nadar be powerful? What should us layman listeners do to avoid getting nadar? Nadar is hasad. Nadar is that people look at you and they end up giving you hasad. And the way to avoid hasad is not to be so public about your blessings. Okay? Not to be so out there about your blessings, that you shouldn't be showing off. You know these influencers, right? And these people that everyone loves to look at on Instagram and all that stuff. These people are just like opening themselves up to people's envy, right? They're going to envy them. Okay, they're going to have hasad for them. So a Muslim shouldn't do that. He should not. He should always be mindful that envious people are not always evil. When someone throws envy at you, it's not that they're evil. Sometimes it's a natural instinct in people. I mean, if you're sitting there and you saw the most perfect man and the most perfect husband, wife, and the most perfect little kids, and they're hufaz of Quran, and they're doctors, and they have a wonderful house, and they're smiling, and they have perfect teeth, and everyone loves them, like naturally you're just going to have hasad. Anyone will have hasad for that, right? Anyone at some point is going to their heart's going to turn. Okay? That's hasad. Even he may recognize it and he may not. A person may recognize it and a person may not. And Allah Ta'ala does not like that somebody rise so high that he creates envy in the hearts of the people. So beware and do not create envy in the hearts of the people when you look around you who you're going to, right? I never understand a guy who goes to the masjid with a Lamborghini. That happened. Not in our masjid, in another masjid. It's like, wait a second. All right, you're going to have a Lamborghini. Go somewhere else with that, you know? Go to Manhattan with that, where like you have people who are rich too. You're going to come to the local masjid where people are coming in a beat up Honda Civic or something, right? And you don't realize that people their hearts are going to be upset by that, because everyone naturally loves the dunya. We can't lie about that. We do love the dunya. We want it for ourselves. That's the nature of human beings. We shouldn't, maybe, right? But that's the nature of human beings. We're going to have hasad, right? People their hearts are going to change when they see this, right? And you may get a little hasad from this person, a little hasad from that person, a little hasad from that person. And now, you've put yourself in a position that Allah does not love. He does not love people who show themselves off, show off their benefits to the point that they're putting envy into people's hearts. Right? So don't envy people. And one of my most beloved sheikhs, that I never met him, but I listen to his lectures all the time, is Muhammad al-Sha'rawi, who passed away. This man had a great life. This man had such a great life as a scholar, perfectly healthy, mashallah, good looking, tall, wealthy, very influential, very charismatic, beloved by everybody, right? When he reached his pinnacle, he stopped wearing the cloak of the scholars and he started wearing the clothes of the farmers. And he alluded, right? And the clothes of the farmers, it's not pretty clothes, and the people of the city definitely don't like it, right? They don't like it. It's not nice clothes. It's a big collar down like this with a big sleeve, and it's just like, in that culture, it's not considered nice clothes for the city folk. So what did he end up? He used to say that every once in a while he wears the garment of the farmer, because he says that I want the people to look at me and say I have better clothes than him, right? It's like, he has so much knowledge, so much fame, so much wealth. It's like, how much can you have, right? So he said, I want the poor people to look at me and say, wow, my clothes is better than his, right? So, and he didn't literally say that about himself, but he alluded to it in other parts, and he said that one of the smart things to do is to humble yourself when Allah has elevated you so much, right, and given you so much. Ahmed Ali Ahmed says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa maghfiratuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa maghfiratuh wa lutfu. We should make dua for ourselves and others. Yes, that's how it should be. All right, this is a short halaqa. Alhamdulillah, we've reached our time, and we will be back next Monday. But also, don't forget that Ali Bhatti is on in a little bit with stories for the Prophet ﷺ. Ozlam Yurta says, what is the correct order for dua, meaning what to read before and after dua, tawbah, etc.? The correct order, anytime you open with dua, you should open with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. And you should begin with istighfar. I humble myself. I make tawbah. I know that I have done wrong. You're the greatest and I have done wrong, right? And then you make your dua. And then you close again with praise of Allah and salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if I understood your question correct, that's the right order to make dua. Okay, that's how we make dua. Yeah. All right, jazakumullahu khairan everyone. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. Wa tawasaw bil haqq. Wa tawasaw bis sabr. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.